Epictetus was born a slave, chained with no choice over his own body, but free in the only arena that matters, his mind. He said, "It is not events that disturb men, but their view of them." Imagine a blacksmith standing before a blazing furnace, observing the burning metal. The metal is shaped not by the intensity of the fire, but by the precision of each deliberate blow of the hammer. Self-discipline is not brute force applied without direction. It is clarity directed with absolute purpose. You live in a time of infinite freedom the ancients never knew, yet you feel deeply imprisoned by invisible chains. You have access to everything, but master nothing with true mastery. You begin projects full of enthusiasm that you never finish. You make solemn promises to yourself that you break when temptation strikes. With each accumulated failure, the inner voice whispers venomously, "You don't have what it takes." But here is the ancient truth Epictetus knew. Discipline is not a rare talent some are born with. It is cultivated discernment. And discernment begins with a single fundamental distinction. In the next few minutes, you'll discover the forgotten method that builds unshakable self-discipline without relying on fleeting motivation. The question that opens this path is ancient, yet urgent. What in your life is under your control, and what do you insist on controlling without being able to? If this message has already resonated, please like it now. It helps spread awareness. There's a form of exhaustion that doesn't show up in the physical body, that no medical test can detect. It's the kind that arises when you're in 10 places at once, and in none of them completely present. You work while thinking about your workout. You train while obsessively checking messages. You're with someone while your mind has already wandered off to the next task. Like water spilled in a parched desert, your energy dissipates without nourishing anything at all. Epictetus observed this in the men of Rome, and it lives on in men today. Man is disturbed not by things, but by the opinions he holds about them. You don't suffer from lack of time. You suffer because your attention is a river without a bed, flowing in all directions and nourishing no land. Modern man calls this multitasking. The Stoics called it self-imposed slavery. You have become a prisoner of your own distractions, a willing guardian of a cell with open doors. Epictetus knew, the strongest chain is not the one that binds the body, but the one that convinces the mind it cannot leave. The discipline you seek already exists. You have simply diluted it into 1,000 fragments. Have you ever tried to control every variable in your life? Planned every hour, calculated every outcome, anticipated every obstacle, and still felt everything falling apart? This is the cruel paradox. The more you try to control, the less control you have, because you're wasting energy on what you can't change. Epictetus was succinct. There are things that are under our control and things that are not. Under our control are opinion, impulse, desire, aversion. Not under our control are body, property, reputation, position. But the ego rejects this truth. It convinces you that if you try harder, plan better, work harder, you will finally master the uncontrollable. It's like trying to change the direction of the wind by blowing against it. You can push as hard as you want. The wind will continue to follow its own laws. False self-discipline is that which fights against the river. True self-discipline is that which learns to paddle only where the current responds. You mistake frantic movement for real progress. You mistake worry for preparation. And while you waste energy trying to control the external world, you forget the only fortress that can truly rule. Who within you is exhausted from fighting impossible battles? If you recognize this, stay with me until the end. There is a truth that changes everything. Here is the principle that transformed a slave into a philosopher and can transform your relationship with discipline. The dichotomy of control. Epictetus taught that all Stoic philosophy boils down to this: distinguishing with absolute clarity what is up to you and what is not. It's up to you. Your choices, your values, your attention, your response. It's not up to you. The outcome, other people's opinions, the weather, the past, the future. It seems simple. But see how this solves the problem. When you invest energy only in what you can control, all distraction becomes focus. All anxiety becomes action. Think of the archer. They can control their posture, their breathing, the tension of the string. They can't control the wind, luck, or where the arrow will finally land. The disciplined archer doesn't cling to the target. They dedicate themselves entirely to the bow. The result is a consequence, not a goal. Modern psychology calls this the internal locus of control. Epictetus called it prohairesis, the faculty of conscious choice. It's the only territory truly yours, the only domain where you are absolute king. And when you retreat to this inner fortress, something extraordinary happens. You become unbreakable. Freedom doesn't come from controlling everything. It comes from letting go of what was never yours. If this idea makes you think differently, subscribe. This channel exists to keep the flame of male consciousness alive. There was a man who constantly tried to control everything around him. Every detail, every outcome, every reaction. He woke up at 5 in the morning with his day planned out down to the minute. He calculated every move at work, anticipated every obstacle, prepared for every contingency. But the more he controlled, the more anxious he became, because the world wasn't obeying his perfect plans. One day, after an important project failed despite all his meticulous planning, he sat in silence and realized something. He was exhausted not by the work, but by the constant war against the uncontrollable. So he asked a simple question Epictetus taught. What, in all this, is genuinely within my control? The answer freed him. Just his effort, his attitude, his response. Not the result, not his boss's opinion, not external circumstances. He continued working with the same intensity, but now without clinging to what he couldn't hold. And paradoxically, by letting go of obsessive control, he found peace and focus like never before. The mountain doesn't fight the wind, it simply remains. Now, philosophy becomes method. Epictetus woke each day with an exercise he called ascesis. Not asceticism in the sense of denial, but deliberate training of the mind. He asked, "This day, what is within my control?" Here is a practice that rebuilds your discipline from scratch. The 3 spheres exercise. Morning, preparation. Before you start your day, take 3 minutes. List 3 things. 1 you can completely control, your attitude, your effort, your presence. 1 you can't control but must accept, traffic, someone's reaction, the weather. And 1 where you wasted energy trying to control the uncontrollable yesterday. Just observe, without judgment. During the day, the application. When anxiety, frustration, or distraction arise, pause. Ask, is this within my control? If yes, act with full focus. If not, release with full awareness. This question is your sword. It cuts through the mental fog instantly. Evening, the review. Epictetus reviewed each day. Where did you apply energy to what you couldn't change? Where did you maintain discipline in what depended on you? No guilt, just growing clarity. This practice transforms disciplined effort into discernment. You stop swimming against the current and start paddling only where your strength moves the water. If this method speaks to your soul, subscribe. This channel is forgeable, not entertainment. Take a deep breath now. 3 deep breaths. On the first, observe a thought that arises. Don't try to change it, just see it. On the second, notice. Is this thought under your complete control? Or did it just appear? On the third, feel the space between you and this thought. You are not the thought. You are the one observing it. Now think about something that worried you today. Ask yourself, is this within my control? If the answer is no, notice how your body relaxes as you let go. If the answer is yes, notice how clarity emerges when you focus solely on what you can do. That's where freedom begins. You are here now, with power over the only territory that matters. Your response to this moment. There comes a moment in every man's journey when the struggle ceases, not because he gives up, but because he finally understands what he's fighting against. Like a mountain that can't resist the wind, it just stands. The wind passes, the mountain continues, not by force, but by nature. The man who practices the dichotomy of control does not become insensitive. He becomes sovereign, because he understood that his only prison was the illusion that he needed to control what never belonged to him. His goals still exist, but now he pursues them with open hands, not clenched fists. Epictetus died free, not because someone freed him, but because he never allowed the chains to reach his mind. He left us this truth: no one can stop you from thinking what you choose, from desiring what you want, from acting according to your principles. This is unshakable self-discipline, not controlling everything, but mastering the only territory that matters. You realize now, the control you sought was not over the world, but over yourself. This is the transformation, from the scattered man to the focused man, from the man who reacts to the man who chooses, from the man imprisoned by his own mind to the man who inhabits his inner freedom. Discipline is not a prison. It is the key to the only door that has truly locked you. Comment, control, if you are ready to let go of what was never yours. Let's return to the blacksmith from the beginning, the one before the furnace. Now you understand. He doesn't control the heat of the fire. He doesn't control the purity of the metal. He only controls the precision of each blow, the steadiness of his hands, the clarity of his vision. And that's what transforms raw iron into a sharp blade. Epictetus didn't leave us techniques for external optimization. He left us the map of inner sovereignty. Real self-discipline isn't about forcing the world to obey your will. It's about aligning your will with the only domain where you are truly powerful. Your choices, your responses, your attention. The self-sufficient person is not one who needs nothing. It is one who does not depend on what he cannot control. He acts with full force where he can. He accepts with profound peace what he cannot change. And he knows, with absolute clarity, the difference between the two. If this philosophy resonates with you, subscribe to this channel. Here, every word is a hammer in the forge of your consciousness. The metal is before you. The furnace is lit. The only question remaining is, are you ready to hold the hammer?